so mazel toy der khoyk mi penim mi mikhro mazel toy bo takh bo lev bal oy 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 lev bal sholol ve sholol lo yakhsor Eishet Chayil mi so mazel toy der khoyk mi penim mi mikhro mazel toy bo takh bo lev bal oy 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 lev bal sholol ve sholol lo yakhsor
Hello everyone and good morning. We are on the third segment of Eishet Chayil, and indeed, even though it seems very clear, as we said yesterday, that it talks about the women in our life, or to be more precise, the women in our homes, there are other interpretations that don't even see it talking about human beings at all, but rather it's an allegory for something else. So let's go through one of them today. Comes along the Yalkut Shimoni, a medrash that's much later than all the midrashim. It's not Tanaim, it's not Amoraim. Some even say it's from the time of Rashi, and it says the following, and I quote its words: Davar acher, one of the interpretations, Eishet Chayil zu Torah. You think it talks about women of valor? Actually, it's talking about the Torah. And then it proves its point from taking words out of Eishet Chayil and saying this is the story of getting the Torah. We say verachok mipninim michra. It was very far from jewels and from being able to acquire it. Comes along the Yalkut Shimoni and explains Shahita lifnai v'lifnim. It was in the very secret treasure chest of God. V'zacha Moshe v'horidal Yisrael. And Moshe Rabbeinu had the great zchut of bringing it down to the Jewish people. V'shalal lo yechsar. And there's nothing missing from the booty. Once we got the Torah, we all know there's an Isur Bal Tosif, you can't add to the Torah. There's an Isur of Bal Yigara, you can't subtract from the Torah. The Torah is complete. So just like we say, the booty, nothing is missing. Indeed, Shelo haya chaser davar mimena. Indeed, the Yalkut Shimoni is not alone. Many generations later, HaGaon Rav Eliyahu Mivilna, 18th century, in his Perush to Mishlei, comes along and says, Eishet Chayil hi Torah, repeating these words. Then he created Eishet Chayil, and he adds, it's called Eishet Chayil. Why? Because the word Chayil in Gematria, Chet, Yud, Lamed, comes out to 48. Do you know what 48 is? It's by chance. At the end of Perkei Avot, the last chapter is called Perek Kinyan Torah, the Perek that talks about how do you acquire the Torah. And indeed, the word Chayil, Lamed is 30, Yud is 10, Chet is 8, comes out to exactly 48. Now, even though this may seem very, very far from the Pshat, it does give us a challenge on Shabbos that's actually a halacha. And that halacha is that you should devote some of your time on Shabbos to learning Torah. The Tur, which is a halachic code, comes along and says the following. Rav Yaakov Balaturim, the son of the Rosh, comes along and says, Ve'achar hashena kovin midrash. After you take a shluf on Shabbos, you should learn Torah. Kitiita b'medrash, and he brings the famous medrash in which the Torah says to God, you know, you gave the Torah to the Jewish people, but once they go into Israel, everyone's going to be busy and everyone's going to be working. When are they going to have time to learn Torah? At least in the desert, they had the man fall. They didn't have to work for their food. They had time to learn Torah. But once they go into Israel, they're going to be working for a living. So when will there be a time, God, that they will be learning you, me, my Torah, meaning us? Comes along God and says, don't worry. Amrala yeshli zug shanim zavegla. I have a good partner for them. Shabbat shmo, and it's called Shabbos. Shehem betelim b'melachtam. On Shabbos they cannot do any of the 39 forbidden acts of labor. V'yecholin la'asok becha, and they have the time to be busy with learning you, the Torah. Al kain, says the Torah, based on this medrash, tzarich sheyikveu midrash. You have to actually devote time to learning Torah. Lahodia la'am et chukei ha'elokim ve'et torotav. In order for people to know the simple halacha of what to do and what not to do, and obviously everything else that the Torah gives us. So this second interpretation basically said that Eishet Chayil on a Friday night reminds all the Jews around the Shabbos table, don't forget to learn Torah on Shabbos. Indeed, allow me to end with a very scary story. It's a Gemara in Gittin Lamed Chet that there was a wonderful family that was actually eradicated, and one of the reasons was because they would eat their Shabbos lunch exactly at the time that the public lecture of Torah took place on Shabbos. That is a very scary story. And basically, based on that story, we have to take learning of Torah on Shabbos very seriously. It's not just something you do when there's nothing better to do, like in between aliyahs. It's something that, as the Torah says, kov'in midrash. You actually have to go ahead and devote a specific time on Shabbos to learning Torah. From this perspective, indeed, I believe that even if you don't buy, quote unquote, that this is the Perush, the Eishet Chayil, we definitely have to buy that the importance of learning Torah on the holy day of Shabbos.